This fine gentleman right here is Father Arthur Tooth, the vicar of St. James, Hatcham. This is a print captured in Vanity Fair magazine in February of 1877. Father Tooth, who was imprisoned the previous month for about 3 weeks for violating the Public Worship Regulation Act of 1874. Essentially, Father Tooth was convicted of doing what most of us take for granted every Sunday, whether we're high church, broad, or low church. He had candles on his altar. He wore Eucharistic vestments. He mixed the chalice with water. He elevated the host, and he used incense. And that was all considered at that time illegal, according to this piece of legislation, which was enacted a few years earlier in 1874. And Vanity Fair, with the wonderful cartoonist Spy, captured this event, which captivated really the nation with this amazing print that so many Anglo-Catholics have framed in their office. Mine came with a certificate of authenticity, which makes me happy because this print is sort of like relics of the true cross. There are just thousands and thousands of them. It seems like everyone has one. But it's an important time in the history of the church, the Anglo-Catholic movement, and the ritualistic controversies. But there's something else I want you to see. As wonderful as this print is, and as important as it is, The Christian Martyr is what it was entitled. Something else I want you to see. In this other part in my office, for my birthday, I bought this for myself, and I did not intend for it to be as massive as it is. But this is a print that I think came from a history of England, and it's of the riots in St. James's Church in Hatcham. What's fascinating when you read about the accounts is that hundreds and hundreds of people would gather together to protest and riot and try to disrupt the worship going on inside. There were dozens of police officers on any given Sunday, and sometimes far more than that, mounted police officers. They even had to take up station in the school next door to keep breaking up all the things that were going on for months and months and months at St. James's Church. But here's the interesting thing, is that these people who were protesting Father Tooth, his curates, his successors, weren't active parishioners. They weren't active participants of St. James's Church. In fact, one of the main opposition leaders was a church warden in a neighboring parish. They may have all lived within the geographic boundaries, although not all of them, making them legally connected to St. James. This wasn't their church. They didn't worship there. Their kids weren't baptized there. Their loved ones weren't buried there. They didn't take communion there. They were there for the scene, for the riot, for the fight, for the controversy. And so I keep this painting. I like this engraving for lots of reasons. I like it because it's connected to Victorian Church of England history, Anglo-Catholic movement, the ritualistic controversies of that time. But now that I have it, I think it's a powerful reminder that oftentimes the loudest voices, the protests, the riots, are oftentimes done by those who have the least amount invested into the real issue at hand. These people were here for the fight, they were here for the scene, they were there for the entertainment value of it. And they weren't interested in a way forward. They weren't interested in peace and reconciliation. Father Tooth and those who worked with him tried very hard to try to find a way to keep the integrity of what he wanted, but also to keep the peace in the parish. And these people would have none of it. Their policy was purely of scorched earth. It's an important reminder, and I'm not speaking just of those of us who work in the church, but it's an important reminder of all of us, especially now that we're in stay-at-home, quarantine, corona tide. We have more time on our hands. We are able to spend more time on social media. We're getting into more controversies. Keep in mind, this is to my fellow clergy and also to my beloved lay friends, is that sometimes those who are making the biggest ruckus, who are raising the greatest protests, oftentimes have really nothing invested into the issue at hand. And they're not interested in dialogue or reconciliation, but their policy is of scorched earth. So it's a helpful reminder. Keep the faith. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's do what we believe is right and hold to our conscience and our convictions and to the faith that was handed to us.